Okay, these are the two camshaft pinions. Someone has marked them inlet and exhaust when they took them off, which is fine. But a common misunderstanding is these are actually the same part. Okay, it's the same, they are interchangeable. There is only one part. There is no exhaust pinion and inlet pinion. They're just camshaft pinions and they're interchangeable. They're both marked up. Hopefully I'll be able to show this now, and if I can find it. They should both be marked up, for one for inlet and one for exhaust. So let's have a look, see if we can catch the light. So there is the timing mark for the inlet. And there is the timing mark for the exhaust. Yeah. So either pinion will fit either camshaft, you just fit it in a different position. Okay, so what we've got the exhaust one here, so we'll fit that. We've got the keyway on the camshaft, okay, and what we do is that keyway, we use the same keyway that lines up with the exhaust. So that's the exhaust mark. So that's the keyway that we're going to use for the key on the camshaft. So we turn the camshaft again. So I think it'll be pointing almost exactly at the center of that idler shaft, and so then we should be able to put that over the keyway, and we line up this dot here. The exhaust dot is marked EX, and that's the dot. We line the dot up with the dot on there, which is what we're going to do now when I put some gloves on, because I'm going out this evening and they're not going to love me. Okay, we're going to put the pinion on. One other thing while I remember is the timing for the T160 is exactly the same as for the T150. All these timing pinions are exactly the same parts as were fitted to the T150. I say that because some people say, oh, the T160s were detuned, etc. Well, they never were. They're the same timing. I think maybe the sort of the fallacy behind that comes from, I think later on, some of the T160s were fitted with low compression pistons. And if that's the case, on there where the tacho drive used to be for the T150s, you'll find an L stamped, L for low compression. And that was fitted for some markets. I think it might have been the American market. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But they fitted low compression pistons, I think, for emissions regulations. I don't know. But obviously, those ones didn't go quite as fast as the standard ones. So maybe that's where that sort of fallacy came in. But the timing is exactly the same for both the T150, T160. But some T160s for certain markets were fitted with low compression pistons. Of course, you can change that. And if they were fitted, they have an L stamped there on the engine casing. Right. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah, we're trying to line this up. So I've got to try and line the keyway up and the dot at the same time. So that's about right for the keyway, but that's not right for the pinion. So I just need to move it around a bit. How's that? No, a bit more on the camshaft. Yeah, I think that's it. Come on, there we go. So there we are. We've got the key is on that keyway, which is the keyway pointing to the idler shaft, and the dots line up. Now, they're not perfect line up. What I mean is they're the right tooth, but they're not sort of totally in line with each other. I'll move the engine round a bit, and you can see that they're lined. It's the right tooth, but when everything's lined up down there, then they're not sort of like dead opposite each other, but they are. That is the right timing. That is the dot that lines up with that dot. But they're fractionally sort of off. That's fine. That makes sense. The dots, the way things go, the dots. How do I describe this? Obviously, the dots should line up with each other, but they might just be out, both sort of like out of line a bit rather than sort of like that. It doesn't matter if they're a bit out of line as long as they, I've got dot to dot. Right, so now we're going to do the inlet. As I say, these are interchangeable. I'm only fitting this to the inlet because it says inlet on it, so obviously this is where it came from. But it doesn't matter. And I'm just about to do that, and I discover that we're missing the key, which I didn't notice before. Oh, blimey, there's no key in the key is missing out of the camshaft. So we'll forget that. Back to the drawing board. I'll have to get on. I'll check whether it's in the. I didn't bloody notice that. Damn. I'll have to check whether that's in the box of bits, or I'll have to get on the phone and wait another day just to order a little key. Things like that are annoying. I maybe ought to order like 20 Woodruff keys, but have them as a stock. Anyway, I'll have a little root around, see if it's in the box somewhere. I haven't seen it, but it might be. Fingers crossed. No, needless to say, the key is not in the, with the other stuff. I hadn't noticed that was missing. Damn, I'm annoyed with myself. So I've got to get on the phone now just to order that key. So I'll have to stop work for today and wait for that to come, or I could do something else, I guess. I'm just annoyed now. I'm annoyed that that's there. But anyway, we'll carry on. We'll carry on when the key gets here tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, so here we are again. 24 hours later, we now have a new Woodruff key in the inlet camshaft. Right, so as with the exhaust camshaft, we turn that key to face the idler, because that key goes in the keyway marked opposite the inlet mark, because this of course is the inlet pinion. But as I say, don't forget that both of the pinions are interchangeable. They're the same, but so we fit this one using the inlet mark as opposed to the exhaust mark. Okay, so we've got, let's have a look. Yeah, so we've got an exhaust mark on this one, and we've also got the inlet mark, and we've put some Tipex on that. But as this was was used as the inlet pinion when it's taken off, because I haven't marked that, someone's marked that when they taken it off, we're going to put it back in that position. And just to reiterate, on the intermediate pinion, we have a dot and a dash for the inlet timing. Okay, I think you can just about make that out. And we use the dash. That's what we're going to line it up with. So I'm just going to probably turn the crankshaft around a bit. Get that more in line. Yeah. And there we go. Is that on? Just thinking about going on. So everything's now in line, kind of. As I say, don't be afraid if things don't kind of line up exactly as it were. So we've now got the dot with the dash, we've got the dot with the dot, and we've got the dot in the middle of the two dots. And we've got the keyways on the camshaft facing the intermediate as well. And that's the timing sorted, the valve timing sorted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put these camshaft nuts on, but I'm only going to put them on temporarily, because what we're going to do with this bike is we're going to again check the valve timing later on to see if we can optimize it, because this valve timing we've got here, I know we've said this before, is only a sort of factory set, which isn't exact, and you can optimize the valve timing to get maximum power out of the engine, and we're going to be doing that later on, but I need to do that when I've got the head on, because we need to measure off the valves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on, and the main thing to remember is that both of these thin camshaft nuts are left-hand thread. So to do them up, we kind of unscrew them. Let's see if we're on there. Yeah, we are. So I'm going to put these on and I'm going to tighten them up. And we do need to tighten them up to make sure the camshafts are in the right position when we put the barrels on. Because even though we might be pulling these off again to optimize the timing, we need to have them on and on fully to make sure that the camshaft's in the right place, and so the cam is hitting the right tappet, because otherwise if the camshaft loose, it can slide along and actually open the wrong tappet. Which obviously we don't want to happen. So I'm going to tighten these up some way, but I'm not going to fully tighten them in case we do need to take the pinions back off again. But I'm putting them on fairly tight to make sure the camshafts are held in the right position. Okay, so I've got the adjustable wrench or spanner, I should say, is on the other end of the crankshaft, and that is locked on the splines, and then the handle of the spanner is against the intermediate shaft on that side of the crankcase, which locks it nice and tight. So then I'm just going to do these up, and as I'm thinking, you see it's drawing the camshaft out, and if you didn't do this, the camshaft would be in the wrong place, even though we are probably going to take these off again when we check the valve timing exactly later on. Yeah, just getting okay. Yeah. Check that we've got a nice turning, which we have. And then we double check all the dots in the right place, which they are. And that's the valve timing set to ignition, set to factory standards. That's a factory standard setting.